So I'll begin by just inviting Jane to present to you. Take it away, Jane.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Diolch yn fawr iawn. That's to show I come from Wales. And I'm really, really pleased to be joining you here today. I think it was a couple of years ago that Fabio and I were together in Findhorn, looking with a whole range of people from kind of all sectors, all countries, to sort of see how we could help more people both understand challenges and threats and opportunities of actually bringing together people, place and planet. And I just want to say that Fabio was brilliant because he kept saying, we've got to do it here. We've got to do it in the communities in which people live. And I absolutely agree with him. And therefore, I do feel a bit of a fraud coming on your platform today. But I hope that what I'm just going to mention, and perhaps if we can have the next slide, please, that what I'm just going to mention may be of some assistance in terms of how not necessarily you here in particular, but how one can set a vision. I've been a politician quite a long part of my life. I was a councillor for 10 years. I was a minister in the Welsh Government for 11 years. I was Deputy Speaker in the very first year of the new devolved National Assembly way back in 1999. And I went into politics in many ways because I couldn't understand why politicians make such short-term decisions. And it just felt to me at the time that the newly devolved government in different parts of the UK would enable us to do things differently. And if politicians take short-term decisions, and this is not a party point in any way, this is just about politicians generally, because they're often faced with crises. But what is the frame through which they take their decisions? And that started to really interest me. Was it possible to create a frame so that when you took the decisions, even if they were short-term decisions, they would be better decisions? They wouldn't have unintended consequences. And that is a 10-year journey, which is why I'm glad people are referencing the book, because in my short contribution, you're not going to get the 10 years of angst and challenge and failure and all of those things that happen on the way to something happening. But I am absolutely delighted that in 2015, Wales passed a law called the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act. And that law is on the screen behind you. And the key parts of that law are all on that slide. So very, very simply, there is what do you want to achieve? And in the context of Wales, it was decided that we wanted to achieve 7 goals. And I hope you can read, I probably can't read the names of the goals, so I'll just read them out to you. We wanted Wales to be prosperous. But that wasn't prosperous in a normal way, where it's about how the rich can get richer. It was about prosperous, innovative, low carbon, working within environmental limits. And all of those elements are written into the law. And all the other goals, resilient is about being nature positive. Healthier is about looking at what are the conditions you can create to prevent people getting ill rather than counting numbers of ambulances. More equal is similarly, how can you make society more equal? Because we know equal countries do better. How do you create cohesive communities? Because people want to live in safe, vibrant, well-connected communities. How, in our case, do we get the vibrant culture and a thriving Welsh language? Because that's so important to us. And the last but not least is about being globally responsible. How making sure that any decision taken in Wales does not impact negatively on another country. So those are the goals now that the government and all the public services in Wales have to achieve. but how they achieve it is critical too. And that's also on the face of the Act. So you have to think long term, you have to think preventatively, you have to collaborate with the others as you're doing today. You have to integrate those goals' outcomes. So your duty is not to just do one goal, but all of them. And you have to involve people about whom decisions are being made. That one, you have to involve people about whom decisions are being made, which means it's a new set of approaches, and it's really hard. And the public services in Wales are struggling, if we're honest, to do it, but some of them are doing great things, and that's the kind of thing I talk about in the book. But just in the context of opening, I think what may be useful, since I know that the government here is looking at creating a Wellbeing of Future Generations Act for Scotland, led by Patrick Harvey from the Green Party, is that the framing is actually the permission to think differently. It is the permission to put together people, planet, and place. And that is where we're seeing lots of changes. And my job at the moment, I've taken on a new role, unpaid role, convening an independent group to look at how we can speed up Wales's response to climate change. Because good decision-making is not just short-term, but it also anticipates problems. It has a precautionary principle. If we know that problems are coming down the line, we don't do what often happens, is leave them until the last possible moment, by which time the action we're taking may be very sticking plasterish. We have to start tackling them now. So I've taken on this role to use the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act to demonstrate how we can get a just transition and be nature positive in the context of delivering on net zero and bringing it forward to 2035 so that what we're doing is giving government, whoever the government is, in our next elections in 2026, and I think yours are the same, that we'll be giving the government of the day a 10-year plan for how we deliver. So the point of this legislation is not that people promote ideas, they are required now to deliver sustainable development, which is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising on future generations meeting their own needs. I'll be around all day, so if anybody wants to talk about this further, and I'll be at tables with you, I'm very happy to do so. So thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn.